everyone. Welcome to Strawberry Economics. Why laughing? Okay, so we're going to do the introduction. So, the first we need to look at are the two directives. So we've got explain and evaluate. Explain. What do you think explain might mean? Yeah, thanks Joshua Noble.
Cause and effect.
Yeah, cause and effect. Thanks mate. Cause and effect. How about evaluate, boys? What do you think we might want from that directive? Neil?
I'm not really sure, miss.
Very nice.
Well, you're on camera for not being sure. Julian?
Making a judgment.
Thank you. Make a judgment, alright? So you got two sides of the coin. Evaluate is you got to make a firm, fast judgment. So with the introduction, obviously you need to define your particular things that you might need to define. So what are some things we might need to define depending on the question? Yeah, Ken?
Globalisation.
Yeah, good. Globalisation. Anything else? Yeah, thanks, Addy.
Economic growth.
Yep, growth. Yep, economic growth and economic development. Okay, so you want to start with your key terms. Make sure that they're not the things that start your introduction. They're the ones that actually need to be included in it. Okay, so the main one, obviously, a few of you guys have been giving me definitions of globalisation, but I'm just going to put one in there, which is it's got to have this idea of overtime and integration. So the big part of globalisation is countries become more integrated, okay? They become integrated as overtime and integration through the engagement. So they might engage in these following things. You've got trade, investment, migration, etc. Okay? Economic growth, I'll be commenting on obviously GDP growth over time, which is your output. So how much is that country in terms of output? Economic development, I'll be commenting on Human Development Index, which is, it's not just good to say that they've got output, but how is that output distributed? So I'll be looking at the income per capita, so income per person. I'll be commenting on health issues, which is mortality rates and education, all right, which I will be referring to is literacy rates. So you can see here, boys, within those definitions, it's very important to include those things. Other things we want to include is obviously we need to include a bit of a backing. So I'm going to be talking about Australia. So I need some context on Australia and globalisation. When did it start for us? When we started becoming more globalised? What can I put in that little context, you reckon? Alright, I have to edit this part out. Okay, alright, well, in 1983 we floated the dollar. That was the start. That was the golden age, alright? So I might say something like 1983, it started when we floated the dollar. Because when we floated the dollar, we allowed for international countries to buy and sell from us, okay? And then they weren't subject to the government regulations or government controlling the price. They were subject to the market conditions, how the market reacted. So I'll say a bit of historical context, and then I'll say, okay, so Australia's engaged in that ever since 1983, and then I'll go more recently. So this is where I'm going to put in my thesis. So I'm going to say, well, we've actually been influenced by two things, trade and investment, all right? So that's where I'm getting into my thesis a bit. And then I'm going to be talking about how we might have responded with policies that promoted growth and development but had mixed effectiveness, okay? So I'll say that we're connected through that. Sorry, this was my thesis, which is third. Trade and investment, and I'll say there's been mixed effectiveness of policies. So I am kind of being a little bit airy-fairy, but what I'm saying is I'm setting it up. I'm saying Australia is part of globalisation. They do it through trade and investment, which I'll look through my body paragraphs. But there's been mixed effectiveness, okay? So, because I'm going to give an evaluation. So I don't want to say it's been bad, it's been good. I want to say it's been mixed, all right? There's been mixed effectiveness. So that's how I'm going to set it up, my introduction. Any questions?